Hey everyone, ready for this one here today? Welcome into our latest TDR Cannabis at 5, presented by Dutchie. I'm your host, Shad Dales. And what do I mean by interesting? I'm going to walk you through two big different scenarios. 12 months from now, what does the industry look like if rescheduling is announced or if it's not announced? I'm going to walk you through what the industry looks like. Let's face it, they're both at complete opposite ends of the spectrum that are going to have a major impact on the industry one way or the other. And really, as I said, an inside look at what this industry could look like 12 months from now on the doorstep of the midterm election. So let's get into what I mean by that in our latest TDR Cannabis at 5 presented by Dutchie. But first, a quick word from Morgan & Morgan. Hey everyone, there's a reason smart investors celebrate when their portfolio jumps 40% in a year, just like there's a reason Morgan & Morgan is America's largest injury law firm. Think about it. When you're investing, you want the right team in your corner. The same is true if you're injured in dealing with an insurance company. And that is where Morgan & Morgan comes into the equation. Why? Well, they've got more than 1,000 attorneys in over 100 offices nationwide, and they've been fighting for people for over 35 years. And their track record is hard to ignore. Let me explain a little bit further. Case in point, in Florida, a client was offered $350,000, but walked away with $12 million. In Pennsylvania, another client, they turned $650,000 offer into $26 million. That's a 40x return. So in total, Morgan & Morgan, they've recovered more than $25 billion for over 500,000 clients. So really, when you hire him, it's like bringing in a legal army that has your back. Because if you're injured due to someone else's negligence, you deserve to be paid. And let's be honest, not all law firms are created equal. But with Morgan & Morgan, their fee is free unless they win. You can start your claim right now by clicking the link in the description below or by scanning this QR code on your screen with your phone. At the end of the day, if you want what you deserve, make sure you go in with the right team by contacting Morgan & Morgan today. Now, let's get back to the rest of our video. All right, let's now talk cannabis. We're standing, as we know, at a fork in the road. 1 year from now, as I said, we'll be on the doorstep of the 2026 U.S. midterms. And depending on what happens with federal rescheduling, the cannabis industry could look radically different. So let's walk you through two scenarios. First, what the industry looks like if rescheduling already has been announced. And second, what it looks like if rescheduling hasn't happened and the status quo continues. So let's first start with the optimistic case. If rescheduling is indeed announced between now and the next 12 months. Let's say the DEA has officially moved cannabis from Schedule 1 to Schedule 3. The announcement came, let's say, in early 2026, and the industry is now adjusting to a new regulatory reality. If that were to happen, then here's what would be happening. Valuations are rising. Distressed assets that were sitting on the sidelines are suddenly in play. Companies that were trading at a half times revenue are now seeing 2 to 3 times multiples. So that's a seismic shift. We're also going to see mergers and acquisitions and how they're accelerating. We're seeing consolidation across every tier. I mean retail, cultivation, and manufacturing. So don't be surprised if 20 to 30% of existing operators could be absorbed or shut down by this time next year. The survivors, they're leaner, they're better capitalized and positioned to scale. We would also have banking access and how it's expanding. While full safe banking hasn't passed, rescheduling has opened the door to more traditional financing. So that means lower cost of capital, better debt terms, and more institutional interest. Next one would be tax relief, and it's real. With 280E no longer applying, operators are finally able to deduct ordinary business expenses. So that's boosting margins and freeing up cash for reinvestment. And then you've got investor sentiment, and it's rebounding. After years of stagnation, capital is flowing again. Private equity is back, family offices are re-engaging, and retail traders are indeed chasing momentum. But it's not all smooth sailing. We still have to look at regulatory complexity, and it remains. State-by-state compliance still varies wildly, and interstate commerce is still in a legal gray zone. The illicit market competition, still around. They haven't disappeared, especially in places like California, where unlicensed operators continue to undercut legal businesses. But still, the tone, it definitely has changed. Cannabis is no longer viewed as a political liability, it's a political opportunity. And with midterms approaching, candidates are bracing reform as a voter-friendly issue. That is all if, and I mean if, rescheduling is announced. Now let's look on the flip side if rescheduling is not announced. So let's say it's October 2026. Rescheduling is still stuck in limbo. The DEA hasn't moved, Congress hasn't acted, and the cannabis industry is still operating under Schedule 1. Here's what it would look like. First, debt is crushing operators. More than $3.8 billion in delinquent payments are weighing down the ecosystem. Invoices are averaging 6 to 7 weeks past due, and let's face it, that's unsustainable. Pricing compression, it only intensifies. Wholesale prices have dropped 32% since 2021. 2021, and retail margins are razor thin. In saturated markets, some SKUs are selling below cost. Next up, you have state-level crackdowns, and they are increasing. Regulators are tightening enforcement, especially on hemp-derived cannabinoids, like Delta-8. More than 30 states have banned or restricted intoxicating hemp products, and let's face it, Congress is considering closing the hemp loophole in the 2025 Farm Bill. Also, no new markets are coming online. This is why PA is extremely important. Ballot initiatives have stalled, legislative momentum has faded, and without federal reform, states are hesitant to expand. You also have investor confidence in how it's eroding. Public cannabis companies are trading at multi-year lows. The combined market cap of top operators has dropped from $37 billion in 2021 to under $11 billion here today. Think about that. So in this scenario, let's face it, this industry will be in full mode, survival mode. And with that, operators are restructuring. Expect 15 to 25% of companies to shut down or file for bankruptcy over the next year. Mergers and acquisitions is happening, but it's defensive. Buyers are cherry-picking assets, not betting on growth. Capital is indeed scarce. Traditional lenders are out. Private equity is cautious, and retail investors will at this point be burned out. So the mood is grim, and unless something changes, the 2026 midterms could be a referendum on cannabis stagnation. So you understand why we're at this huge fork in the road right now? So really, when I factor in these two scenarios, what is the big takeaway here? Whether rescheduling happens or not, the cannabis industry is heading towards a shakeout. The difference really is how the shakeout plays out. If rescheduling happens, it's a strategic consolidation. Strong operators will absorb the weak ones. Valuations will rise and capital will return. But if rescheduling doesn't happen, it's a forced contraction. Companies collapse under debt, investors flee, and the illicit market continues to gain ground. So either way you look at this, the next 12 months is going to reshape the landscape. So for investors, let's face it, the opportunity lies in anticipating that shift, not reacting to it. So take a picture, everyone. The industry as you know it today is going to forever change over these next 12 months. So, like I said, we are at a fork in the road. Cannabis, rescheduling, yes or no? Ball's in your court, President Trump. Let's see what happens. So that's it for today in our latest TDR Cannabis at 5 presented by Dutchie. And let us know what you think the industry will look like 12 months from now if rescheduling happens or if it doesn't happen. Leave your comments below. As usual, like, subscribe, and smash on that bell for all notifications. Stay connected with us here at TDR. All right, everyone. Thanks again for watching. I'm Shad Dales, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care, everyone.